Hello doctor, this is student Muhammad Hazim Muhammad, group 151. Um, we're going to start a description of the tempromandibular joint. Maybe let's start with the definition. The tempromandibular joint is an organ of the musculoskeletal system. It's responsible for the movement of the mandible, hence the jaw. Of course, this movement allows us to talk, to eat. Therefore, the temporomandibular joint, or TMG for short, is the most used joint in the human body. It's a synovial condylar combined joint. Location is located in the face, in the shin region. Movement like depression and elevation. Depression is like this. Elevation is the elevation of the then protrusion and retrusion. Protrusion is like the downward and forward movement of the jaw, and retrusion like backward, downward and back. Lateral are gliding, like the movement we do when we grab something. Okay, then let's show my hand drawing for the joint. Of course, we have some interesting drawings in here, but I'd like to add my, of course, hand drawings at first. Let's zoom in. Okay, this is the temporal bone, a schematic drawing, of course not very precise. And this is the mandible. Here the condylar process, or the head of the mandible, is inserted in the mandibular fossa to form the joint, but it's not that simple. This joint has a special feature, which is the articular disc. Articular disc like divides the cavity, the joint cavity, into two compartments, the superior and the inferior compartments, and it's actually what gives the protrusion movement. It gives a wider range of motion to this joint. And return back to, of course, the parts. Articular surfaces, one mandibular fossa of temporal bone, second head of mandible. This is the articular surfaces. Articular disc within the joint capsule, I think it's also a part of the joint. Then the joint capsule, which is surrounded by a ligament. A ligament forms this joint capsule. Then cavities. We have the superior joint cavity or compartment, and inferior joint cavity or compartment. Of course, articular cartilage and synovial fluid. Articular cartilage covers both the mandibular fossa and head of the mandible. Then let's talk about the ligaments. We have the collateral or lateral ligaments. We have the temporomandibular ligament. I think this ligament is the responsible for the joint capsule. Then we have the stylomandibular ligament and the sphenomandibular ligament. Let's see them on diagrams and drawings. Like here we have the joint capsule. Of course, this is the temporomandibular ligament. Then we have the lateral ligament, the sphenomandibular ligament, and the stylomandibular ligament. Of course, these ligaments act to support the joint. Then maybe talk about some of the muscles responsible for the depression movement of the joint. I'm sorry, responsible for the elevation movement of this joint. we have temporalis, which is this big muscle that extends in this. Then we have master muscles, superficial and deep masseter. Then yep. We have lateral pterygoid muscles. Of course, this extends from the sphenoid bone into the mandible. Lateral, all the pterygoid muscles, I think, group of muscles: medial, lateral, and lateral superior and lateral inferior. All these muscles possible for the elevation movement of the joint. So I think this is it. I think that's the full description of the joint, from the definition, the parts, the ligaments that support this joint, the movements of this joint, its type, and of course some of the muscles responsible for the elevation movement of this joint. I think it's called the mastification muscles. Thank you, doctor, and have a nice day.